Hey there, I'm Dayna Johnson, dental practice management expert, certified Dentrix trainer, and founder of Navoni, revolutionizing the dental industry through innovation and strategic leadership. It wasn't long ago that I lived in your shoes, navigating the daily challenges of managing a dental practice with the hopes and dreams of having a productive schedule, money in the bank, and getting home on time to my sweet daughter. After 25 years working in the dental practice and 17 years as a certified Dentrix trainer, I found my life's work, helping dental teams one-on-one, optimizing their systems and software. If you are looking to create the thriving dental practice you have always dreamed of and empower your high-performing dental team, you are in the right place. Let's get started.
Hey, my friends, welcome back. All right, so we are kind of in the middle of this 5-part series on cleaning up your old, outdated data. And what I want to tackle today is all things health history. All right. So the last couple sessions have been more administrative. We talked about inactivating providers and team members, and then we talked about cleaning up your definitions, like your adjustment types, your payment types, things like that. And so today I'm going to give the clinical team a little bit of love because one of the most common things that I see and I get questions about is how do we clean up all of these duplicate medications in our list? We have like 3 or 4 different diabetes medical conditions, and we have like 5 different Zolofts in our medication list, and some of them have milligrams on them, and some of them have dosages, and it's like, oh my gosh, this list is just becoming unbearable to work with. So how do we clean it up, and how do we stop it from happening? So we're going to dive into the medical history, and I wish there was a magic wand that we could wave over our medication list to clean it up. But there isn't like a magical spell that I could give you. You know, if you're a Harry Potter fan, my daughter has one of the Harry Potter wands. I wish that there was a spell that I could just give you that would clean up your medication list. But what I'm going to tell you is just kind of how to inactivate some of the things in there, and then give you some tips on teaching your team how to prevent it in the future. That's the best I can do for you, because this is a human thing that happens. This is humans cause this to happen. And so we do have to teach the humans how to work with our data much better and how to prevent it from happening in the future. And so first, let's just dive in on how we clean it up. You do need to get into the health history module in Dentrix. And I'm just going to start with medications because that's typically where we see a lot of duplicates. And a lot of times what happens is it gets misspelled, or one of them gets spelled with a capital L and the other one is a lowercase l, or one of them is misspelled completely. And so you have a hard time finding it in the list. And so really what we can do is the only way we can actually delete it is if it's not attached to a patient. So if you go into your list and you highlight one that you want to get rid of and you click delete, you're going to get a message that says you cannot delete this medication because it is attached to a patient. This medication will need to be inactivated. And so that's really the only option that you have. If it's already linked up to a patient, you'll just need to inactivate it. So what that will do is when you inactivate it, at least it gets it out of your active list. Now, it doesn't remove it from that patient, but it gets it out of your active list. So then nobody can select it anymore. They can't select it for another patient. They can't select it from the list because it does remove it from the list, which is good, which is what you want to do. But then what will happen is when that patient comes in, then it's still going to show in their patient reported medication. So it's still going to show there that the patient has that medication, but it will show the status as inactive. So you know, when you go into the health history module, you see the patient reported medications, and then there's a status. It may say that is inactive. So that's a possibility. And then you can just switch it over to the good one. That's just going to take time. And I know it's kind of time consuming and nobody really wants to do it. But that's really the only thing that you'll be able to do. Same thing with medical conditions. So let's say that you have a duplicate that you want to get rid of. The health history lists don't act like the other things we've talked about. It doesn't act like the definitions or the inactivating providers. It doesn't allow you to do a replacement, you know. So when you go to delete, like let's say you have seizures and you have epilepsy. Well, they're kind of the same thing. I mean, epilepsy is seizures. Seizures could be other things. Seizures could be diabetic seizures or epilepsy. But let's say you want to get rid of epilepsy and you want to keep seizures. So you wouldn't be able to delete epilepsy and replace it with seizures. The health history module doesn't work that way. So the only thing that you could do is if you want that patient that has epilepsy, you want them now to have seizures, you would take the epilepsy off and replace it with seizures. That's really, it's going to be a manual situation like that. So when you do click on the delete on the medical conditions in the health history, you're going to get the same message as you do with the medications. It's going to say you cannot delete this medication or this medical condition because it's attached to a patient. You would have to inactivate it. So that's really the way that you'll be able to clean up your list of medical conditions and medications, and same thing with allergies. It doesn't act the same way as it does with inactivating and the definitions. Too bad we can't just give it a replacement and have it switch over. That would be ideal. However, the developers of the software didn't make it do that way. So we have to work with what we have, and that's why I'm here to help navigate you through these challenges of cleaning up your data. Okay, so this will require someone on your team. It might be maybe you have a dental assistant that wants some extra hours, or maybe you have you have team leads, and maybe just every once in a while, maybe once a month, they go through the medication and the medical condition lists and they clean them up. Okay, so when we get back, I'm going to tell you like how this can happen and how you can prevent it.
Did you know that you could increase your team's productivity by up to 200% if you had a formal team training program in place? And businesses that do have a formal team training program in place also enjoy up to a 24% increase in profit margin. If you want to learn how and book a call with me, click on the show notes and book a free discovery call with me, and we will talk all about it.
Okay, my friends. So the most common way that I see this happening is for offices that are using Dentrix Questionnaires, electronic forms. The most common way that I see the health history getting duplicate medications and duplicate medical conditions is from the way that the Dentrix questionnaires and the forms sync data into Dentrix, into the health history module. Now, I've always been a big fan of questionnaires. I've used them since the beginning of time when they first came out. I think that when I teach offices how to use questionnaires properly and the team is trained properly, then there's not an issue. But it happens in offices where the team members are syncing the data into the health history module from the Dentrix questionnaire forms, and they were not properly trained. And so what happens is they click the button. There's a little button that with a double arrow on it, and they click the button and it syncs over everything that the patient has written on their electronic form, and it syncs everything that the patient has written down, whether they've misspelled it, whether they've spelled it with a capital L or a lowercase l, whether they've put dosage on their list of medications. Dentrix doesn't care. Dentrix just takes everything because you've clicked on the button to sync it all over. Okay, so it is a human problem that's causing this. It can be your team can be trained so that they don't do that. But this is the most common reason why you have a list of medications and medical conditions that make no sense, or you have duplicates and triplicates and quadruplicates. So you just need to train your team. If your team needs training, that's what we're here for. Okay, that is why we exist, is because we love training. So that's the most common way. So then what happens is they click everything to sync over, and then all of those medications that the patient has written on their electronic form get synced into Dentrix, into your medication list. So the best way to prevent that from happening is to train your team how to do it properly. The other thing that I see happen is that the hygienist just gets busy, or doesn't take the time to search the medication list or the medical conditions to see if it's already in there, and they just go and add a new one. That's the second most common thing that happens, is that when the hygienist is reviewing the medical history with the patient in the chair, and the patient says, "Oh yeah, I'm no longer taking that medication, I'm taking a new one," and they go in and they add it into the system without checking to see, is it already listed? And that just takes a few extra seconds to check. There's a little icon in the upper left corner of your medical history that you can add a new medication or add a new medical condition. It lets you search the list. And so if you can just slow down and take a few extra seconds to make sure that you're not adding a duplicate, you're not adding a new medication, or you're not adding a new medical condition that's already in the system, just slow down, take a few extra pauses to make sure that you're looking for information before you go and add something new. And that's going to be my preview to our next podcast, which is going to be all about cleaning up your insurance plans. We're going to talk about that next week. But if you need help with any of this, then that's what we're here for. We're here to help you. We're here to support you. And we're here to make sure that you are all trained properly. And if you're trained properly and you have systems and processes in place, then your data will always stay up to date, accurate, and healthy data. And so that's what we're here for. So I hope that this podcast episode has been helpful for you, especially for the clinical team where you're struggling with this list of duplicate, triplicate, quadruplicate medications, medical conditions, allergies, and you want to clean up your list. So we went through how to clean it up, and we also went through why it happens. And hopefully you took some notes. You can always re-listen if you want, share it with your team. And so if you're an admin team member listening to this, please share it with your hygienist, share it with your doctors so that they can hear how to clean this list up and how to make sure it doesn't happen in the future. All right, my friends, I hope that you have a great rest of your day. When you're done listening to this, Please rate it, review it, share it with your colleagues, share it with your team. And we would love a 5-star review. That's how all the analytics, all the algorithms see that they should share it with more people. And that's what we're here for. That's what we want to happen. All right. I hope you have a great rest of your day. And I look forward to watching your journey of becoming a high-performing dental team.